everyone, my name's Jenna.
And I'm Mark. Thank you all for tuning in and listening to another episode of Cincinnati Zoo Tales. We're really excited to have all you listeners tuned in today because we've got a great episode lined up. We're being joined by our volunteer enrichment coordinator, Jen Moormeier. Jen runs our incredibly talented, amazing staff of Volunteer Enrichment Committee that makes some of the wildest enrichment items you've ever seen. I don't know where you guys come up with this stuff. I'm really excited to hear your perspective of it, but thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Mark said staff, but I want to point out that you are a group of all volunteers, which makes it even more impressive.
Definitely.
Because you're so dedicated and so talented and get so many things done. And I mean, I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but we can depend on you guys to get things done quicker than some of our paid staff around here when we need something fixed or done.
That's because we don't have any other responsibilities.
Yeah.
We're not pulled in all different directions, so it makes it easier.
Of course,
Right.
But you guys do all sorts of things. So the volunteer enrichment volunteers basically help us with animals and their enrichment all over the park, and everything from like perching that our birds sit on and nest on and that sort of thing to paper mache, which I think is where you guys got your start. So we'll go into a little bit more about what you guys do as a group, as the volunteers that run the enrichment program. But I think you have an interesting background. I want to hear what your background is, and then also maybe just explain how you got into becoming a volunteer so anyone listening might have more of an idea of what they could do if there's openings at the zoo in any area for volunteering.
Well, my background's in education, so I taught science, computer science, and gifted. So I taught technology and gifted, and so did that for a number of years. I was a teacher in Reading Community Schools. Hello, Reading people. And so from there, went into a county office and coordinated programs for all the county schools in Hamilton County, and did technology, and then actually got hired at the state level by Governor Vornovich to help implement the technology throughout the entire state. So I'm dating myself because you guys probably weren't even born when this happened. But basically this was when the World Wide Web and computers in the classroom, and so helping school districts purchase their first computers in the classroom and actually connect to the web and so forth.
That's so cool.
So we actually had the program where we implemented the internet through all the schools. So the state had a grant for every school to be able to put the infrastructure in to have internet and computers in the classroom. And so my role at the state level was to help school districts deploy that and train teachers to do that. So we had training throughout the state and helped write all that curriculum and training programs for that. So it was a lot of fun. So we did a lot of unique things, and because we had so much money in the state of Ohio, Apple and IBM and all that, they were kind of wining and dining us. So like I saw for the Apple phone before it even came out.
No way.
That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah. So, so Cupertino, and saw some of those things. So it's pretty cool. So,
That's really cool. And my first question, like right off the bat, is okay. And I don't mean this to date you, or I guess I just don't understand. Mark knows I'm terrible with history and numbers and what year it is. But like, when you say you were teaching technology before the internet came around, like how did you know about it?
You had computer discs. I mean, it was one of those big 5-inch by 5-inch computer discs, and it was just really programming. So it was almost like follow the dots to draw a picture. So you do pixels.
Okay.
And so it was kind of computer code, basic programming is what it was called back then. And so you didn't have, CD-ROM. A good example is the CD-ROM when we first doing training and computers came out with CDs and the tray pulled out. I mean, this is true. Teachers thought those were coffee cups because there were no CDs at the time. So what's really intriguing is Michelle Curley here, who's our Director of Communications. She and I worked together here at the zoo. We gave the zoo a grant. The state of Ohio gave the zoo a grant, and I was coordinating those grant dollars, and so came down to help them write one of the first CD-ROMs in the state of Ohio. And it was on the Bald Eagle. We still have it. I still have it. It still works. And so, so it's really kind of cool. So Michelle at that time worked for a software company, so she was the coder. So we sat down with your team here and did a CD-ROM that then the state of Ohio burned for all the school districts in the state of Ohio.
Wow.
That is incredible.
That's incredible. Not only just like that you're tied to the zoo, you and Michelle are both tied, but it had nothing to do with working for the zoo.
No. So when I was in a meeting with Michelle, and we're both looking at each other like going, how do Oh, I know. Yeah, it was kind of funny. Yeah, so isn't that coincidental? Yeah.
What made you interested in technology? So I get, like, it makes sense that people, like, know about teaching and becoming a teacher. Did you want to be a teacher more, or did you want to work with technology more? Or did you,
well, when technology came up, okay, it was like an Apple computer, or I can't even remember the other computer that they don't make anymore, but it was the big disc that you put in and so forth. And nobody had the skill check, but all the schools needed somebody. I was the only one on staff that had a computer course. And back in the day, the computer course was with the cards that you put in a shoebox for the big mainframe computers. I don't know if you've seen those pictures of, you don't even know what I'm talking about. So you're looking at me. You should see their faces, people.
You lost me on that one.
There used to be big cards, and you'd put those in the machine, and it would code like little dots on the card, and it would code out, and you'd have your box of cards for your program. And then you came out with rolls of sheets of cards and stuff. So I ended up getting a master's degree in computer technology. So I have a degree in that. But yeah, so that's how I got into that. So I was picked because I was the only one that the administrators were looking for somebody that had some kind of and I was the only one, I think, on staff that had any kind of, which didn't even equate because they didn't make those cards anymore. So it didn't even match up, but it sounded good. So I was like, okay, I'll try it.
Were you interested in it? Do you still like technology?
Oh, yeah.
Are you good with it? Like, you're probably better than I am.
I can do pretty much anything. We're getting a 3D printer.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's
for us here.
So
for
cool.
us here, we're going to do 3D printing here.
Amazing.
For enrichment.
So to answer the question, she's better than both of us
Yes.
with technology. Yes, for sure.
So,
Mark and I are like, we can use Outlook for email. I can type a Word document, and if you're lucky, I might be able to use Excel for like something.
Yeah, send a meeting request. That's dicey. I don't know.
There's an app. Okay, I can figure out how to open that.
Our enrichment team, we're going to do 3D printing and print out some cool stuff for enrichment.
That's
I
awesome.
can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
So that's incredible. Your background in technology, but what got you interested and involved in the zoo? Like, at what point did the zoo come into this?
Well, I taught science, so my background is science. So I've always had that background.
Okay.
And as a kid, we traveled all throughout the United States to all the national zoos and camped. So we camped all over the place in tents, not a trailer or anything, or camper or anything. We camped. We were, and we did that throughout the whole United States. So it's just kind of in the background. And I started in horticulture here because I love gardening and worked in the horticulture team, and just happened to be in the hallway with Molly at the time, who oversaw all the volunteers. And that was when AZA, I guess it's been like maybe 9 years ago, where AZA required everybody to do enrichment, and everybody kind of went, what's that mean? And what does that look like? And so they were talking about it kind of in the hallway, and I was standing there with Molly, and she goes, well, we could probably have volunteers do it. And I said, sign me up. I said, I don't know what it is, but I'll be happy to help. And that's kind of how it got started. So we started with paper mache.
Yeah.
That's what we started with.
Right place, right time.
So yeah, it's kind of right place, right time, and yeah. So that's how
I
it
have
got
a random
started.
question. What was your favorite zoo growing up? Since you saw so many of them.
Oh, my favorite zoo?
Yeah.
Probably here. Probably
Really?
still
Okay.
is. Mm-hmm.
And did you grow up here in Cincinnati? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then,
Well, I lived out east too.
Okay.
For a while. Yeah, so Bronx Zoo was the other one.
okay.
I've heard
so we
great
went
things
to-
about
yeah.
Bronx.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then, did you start volunteering with the horticulture department while you were still working, or when you retired?
No, when I retired.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so you just lucked into this enrichment part, or not lucked into it, but like,
It was kind of the right place at the right time, and Molly was standing there, and she's like, well, do you think volunteers can do it? I said, I'll be happy to help. Tell me what you want. And nobody really knew. There wasn't any really direction, and other zoos were struggling as well. It's like, what does this mean? What does this look like? What can we do? What do we need to do per the requirements and so forth? And so then it evolved from there. So we started with paper mache.
That's funny because that story sounds about like every experience I've ever had working with you. With I'll be happy to help. Like I don't know exactly what it is or exactly what I'm doing, but I'm happy to help. I'll make you some crazy enrichment. Like I'm trying to figure it out.
always willing to try, for
Yes.
sure. So I want to tell everyone, we've talked about it many times in episodes, we've talked about enrichment, but like to clarify what enrichment is, it's anything in all different forms that basically stimulates an animal to do natural behaviors, gets them up and active, gives them something to explore, keeps them busy, just overall makes their environment and their lives better and gives them something to do on a really simple level. So an example that you might have seen are like puzzle feeders, big barrels we hang in the giraffe yard where they stick their tongue in and they have to forage for food, because in the wild they would be spending hours a day using their tongue to pluck leaves out of trees and bark off of trees. And of course, we wouldn't have any living trees to provide shade for a giraffe if we let them just eat all of the trees in the habitat. So we provide that same behavior in a different form. You might have seen our lion John with a giant 200-pound toy that he pushes around, and we call it a weeble wobble, and it comes back. So that's something that's made and we order. Or like the meerkats, we give them things to dig bugs out of, something simple like a pile of mulch with bugs sprinkled in it. So those are all different types of enrichment. We do scent enrichment, we do perfumes and spices and essential oils and things like that. So Jen's team does all the things that they can make, something that can be made for our animals. So you talked about paper mache. And I know there's a funny story behind that, how you started. I don't know if it's funny, it might be frustrating, but you were making paper mache in the most humid area of the zoo.
Oh, gosh. I was thinking, what are you talking about here? When we first started, we didn't really have a space. And so we were in the rainforest, which is about 90 degrees. And if anybody's been down in the rainforest at the zoo, you're all familiar with that, with the pathways and the walkways. But there's also classrooms, so you have a lot of kids running around and so forth. So you had to be very careful where you put anything, setting up, taking down, and you couldn't leave anything out. So you pretty much, whatever you started, you had to finish at that time. Well, in 90-degree weather, paper mache doesn't do really well, and so it's a little tricky. Plus, there's a lot of cockroaches down there, so you'd have some of that around, and so yeah, it got a little tricky. And then I remember one time we did big balloons, so they were the 25-inch ones, and we thought, oh, we'll dry them faster if we put them outside. So we thought, we'll take them outside because it's too humid in here, and we put them outside and we went to lunch. When we came back, it was hot that day, so it was in the 90s outside as well, but the sun was hitting it, and the balloon expanded. When you make paper mache, it's a balloon, and then you put paper, it's flour and water and paper, for those that aren't familiar with paper mache. And we had it covered, and then it just split open, and they were all split open, and they all fell apart. So all the 10 that we did, we all just looked at each other and went, okay, lesson learned. Won't do that again. So yeah, it
wasn't an ideal atmosphere.
No, not an ideal atmosphere.
Mo was down there. You got to hang out with the sloth a little bit while you were down there. But
yeah.
Yes. But you guys now have your own space, and it's the coolest place ever as far as painting goes. Have you been down there yet, Mark?
Down the City Barn. Yeah.
And you volunteers painted it, right?
Yeah.
It looks like realistic animals climbing all over the walls and stuff.
So, well, we were fortunate because Christina, our director of animals here at the zoo, she, said, we got to find you a better place. Yeah. So we finally found this spot down at City Barn, and those that are not familiar with City Barn's one of the barns throughout Cincinnati where they did the trolley cars back in the day with the horse and buggy trolley cars. So this is an old barn.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, horse and trolley cars were kept down there with the horses. So they're horse stalls, the old horse stalls. And so from that, so that was back in the day, 18, maybe 40s, 50s, back in that time frame, and that's how everybody traveled around. There were 3 city barns, I think, here in Cincinnati.
Oh.
Yeah, so, and I'm not sure where the other 2 were, but so this then... From that, I think one point it was a police department, and then another time it became the bird quarantine area. And so then there was a room there that had where all our festival lights were kept.
Oh, yes.
Floor to ceiling festival lights, right? Millions of them. And they said, well, this will be your space. And at that point in time, I'm standing with crates of festival lights, and there was only maybe a 2-foot aisleway. And I just went, okay. I was like, Well, when they cleared it out, it's an enormous size workshop, and it's really, really terrific. And so maintenance was very gracious, and they set up our tables and so forth and used old wood, so it wasn't wood necessarily that they could use anywhere else. And then we went in and painted it up, and we put animals of each department up on the walls.
Yeah, you guys put your own stamp on the place for sure.
Yeah.
And so in the last 9 years, you started with paper mache, but you guys have done incredible things. Tell us a little bit about your team and the different roles people play and some of your favorite things you guys have made, or more complicated, or...
Well, we have a great team of people. There's 24 members, volunteers on the team. Some people still work, so they work on Saturdays. So I think people here at the zoo think we work 24/7, which we don't. We only do 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 9 to noon. Now, there'll be extra times if there's extra events people need assistance on and so forth. We'll come in extra time and so forth. But that's pretty much our shifts that we work. And so people come in, and when we first started, they didn't even know how to make paper mache. And I said, don't you remember third grade? And I said, don't you remember that? And they're all looking at me like, what? And I said, oh, you'll be good. So their first paper mache ball, it took them probably like an hour to make one paper mache ball. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we'll never get anything done. And now they're really good. They can crank out in an hour. They can crank out about 40 balls in an hour.
That's a huge difference.
So huge difference. So, well, they were being very meticulous because, I always stress safety and we wear gloves because, the sanitation and all that. So disinfecting. So we're really prime in that area. So I'm always focusing on that. So they're very careful. And I say, guys, come on, pick it up a little bit now. And so now they can really crank out the paper mache really nice. So, so we started with paper mache, but actually, our first device, how we got started, was with one of our rhinos, and they had asked for help because they were having some behavior issues, and they thought a rhino feeder would work. And so they said, hey, could you make a rhino feeder? And I said, okay, what would that look like? I said, what exactly are you talking about? And they said, well, we don't really know. And then they kind of talked about it, a PVC feeder with some holes in it. So then I was like, okay. So I went online, did some research from all over the place, and kind of figured out, I said, okay, is it something like this? And they go, oh, yeah, that'll work. So I don't think anybody even really had any thought of what that might be, but they needed something. So at that time, we didn't have any tools. We didn't have anything. We were just doing paper mache. So I went to Lowe's and got a 6-inch diameter PVC, but they were only 10-foot lengths, so I have it sticking out of my car, bring it to my home. So, I cut it at home and cut it down and everything and put it together at home and then brought it in. I said, okay, will this work? And they go, oh, this is great. And it worked great. And that's how we got into the other kinds of devices. It's from that start.
I didn't know that was the first one.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so that was our first one. So it was our first feeder. And then from that, it kind of evolved into other devices. And people started asking for some other things. And then we started, weaning into different areas.
Yeah, so the paper mache is fun for animals that like to tear things up or push things around. So our vultures love to tear paper mache. Some carnivores, if you can trust them not to eat the newspaper, you can stuff it with meat and then they can tear it apart. So it's kind of a natural behavior of tearing into something to get to the meat. Or we can, put bugs in it for the meerkats and they roll it around and the bugs fall out. So paper mache is something simple, but that's been helpful. And then you guys do all sorts of things like the PVC feeders. You're even growing basically grass. We call it fodder, but
it's grass without dirt because you want all of the roots.
Yes. Okay. So it's really pretty and it's like the most beautiful grass, and you want to makes you want to touch it. And so they grow that for our animals.
It almost looks fake.
It does. It's so pretty. So you guys are doing all sorts of things. Some things that people may have seen if they've been to zoo events are now like these magnificent paper mache animals you make. So you aren't just doing paper mache shaped like balloons anymore. You're doing zebras and snowmen and what else have you done? Gazelle.
Done gazelles, warthogs, we've done rabbits, we've done for Halloween the spiders and witches.
Oh yeah, those are fun.
Pumpkins, and so a wide variety now. So we're pretty good at it. We did for Zoofari when it was the Alice in Wonderland theme. We did all the Alice in Wonderland characters out of the paper mache. So
I remember we gave the meerkats that Cheshire cat.
Right.
And for Jen to say, quote unquote, we're pretty good at it is like the understatement of the century.
I wish we could pop up a picture on your phones right now.
Incredible. Like we just gave the Painted Dogs Enrichment on Sunday a 6-foot tall snowman that is 3 levels with arms, a nose, a hat. There's a ribbon around his hat. Well, quote unquote ribbon. The ribbon's made out of paper mache. It is some of the most incredible artwork I've seen. It is wild.
Yeah, so if you've ever been to an event and you see that is done by volunteers, which is just amazing. And one of my favorites is, I don't know if you remember this, but not this year, but last year for our meerkat Santana's birthday.
That's a good one.
It's the best thing ever. It was basically, we called it an old man recliner. And it was this, it wasn't meerkat size technically, I could have sat on it. It was huge, but we got Santana up there and it had a little coffee mug and a newspaper hanging over the arm of the chair, and it was incredible. So lots of fun like that for birthdays. You guys are the ones who have painted the walls for Fiona's birthdays in the past, if you've seen the unicorn painting or the apples or the zoo babies was probably the most intricate one you guys have done.
Right. Yeah.
Jen's team does that. So you have painters, you have people that do paper mache, but you also have like specialty people too,
We
right?
have people that are really good with construction.
Okay.
So their deal is they want to build it like you're building a house or a barn, but it's not that way because it's something that's never been built before. And I said, okay, you can't exactly do it that way because that's not safe for the animals. So we've got to do it this way. And they're going, huh? And so it's a little tricky because it's not the normal way you would build something sometimes. So we have construction people, we have art people, we have people that came in and just really didn't have any art skill at all, but baby steps, and now they can do some standard things, and you just let them go and take off with it. And but I'm pretty meticulous. When we first started, they would paint something, I'm going, no, that's not going out like that.
I kind of love you for that.
So it's like, and so when you first started on the team, they'd paint this box and the lines aren't straight, and I'm like going, no, it's not. We're not doing that. Or the circle's wobbly, and I'm like, no, that's not happening. Or they build a hammock and one leg's kind of crooked, and it's like, no, we got to do over. So there were a lot of do-overs initially until they got the hang that the expectations and our standards are pretty high.
Very high.
So yeah, very high
Very
actually.
high.
And so it's like, yeah, we're that's a do-over. Or they'll paint something, and I'm going no. Or to be nice, they don't know and they leave and I fix it, or it's just kind of now they know, they listen, or you ditch it and do over and start it all over just because it's us, it's our brand for our zoo, so you want it out there being top of the line, which our zoo is, and so that's our expectation as well.
Definitely.
For us. Yeah, so we have artists on here, we have elementary teachers, we have CFOs of former jobs. We have actually art people. We have a person who is an artist for Trader Joe's.
Oh, awesome.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
so she painted a big mural.
Wait, did she do the one at Trader Joe's right now? There's a hippo.
With the hippo.
Yes, I was walking
that's Liz.
through with Lincoln the other day, and I was looking at like the produce down below, and he noticed. He's like, "Mommy, hippo," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he had a point before I even noticed it, but my little guy noticed it. I was like, "Wow, that's really well done. I wonder who does this."
Yeah, that's Liz.
Oh,
She's
that's
on our
so cool.
volunteer
That's
team. Right. So we have a lot of that, and maintenance and horticulture help us out tenfold because we help chase with the browse, and we cut browse, and we box up, for those that don't know, we box up browse 3-4 times a year that we freeze for the winter so that our animals have greenery to eat during the wintertime. So we have a lot of browse that we help them cut.
Which our giraffe love you for that, by the way.
So we do a lot of that, and then we take whatever's cut down, like when you cut down trees and so forth, we'll change those into perches for our birds, so perching devices, and we'll slice and dice them up to make bird hanging toys for our birds as well. So we use a lot of those instead of just throwing those things in a dumpster. We'll repurpose a lot of those kinds of things also.
That's what I think I love about it is you guys do repurpose a ton, and you make sure to use any scraps for something else when possible.
Yeah, so our construction team, we got a lot of construction going on right now, so they're awesome. So they this was last summer they said, okay, this is when they started down here at the Room to Roam, the elephant building and so forth, and construction was everywhere, and they said, well, we got all this stuff, can you use any of this stuff? So I drove down to where they were putting it all, and it was like PVC, and I'm like, oh yes.
Perfect.
So they brought all their unused PVC, so plumbers out there, when you have 2 feet left, anything 2 feet or larger, we'll take it. Schedule 40. But basically they put a lot of that down there, which saved us about $5,000 in terms of costs and so forth. So we're
amazing, and all of it from going to the
we used to dumpster dive, and I used to pull stuff out of the dumpster. But now we've got to coordinate, so everybody knows before they throw it out, they call, and so I get a lot of emails. Hey, could you use this? And they'll send pictures and so forth. And our donors, our members, our guests, everybody sends emails now because they know. And what's really nice is a lot of our members and guests have birthdays. And so even their kids, in lieu of birthday gifts, they'll bring enrichment items and so forth. They do that kind of stuff.
Cool.
So that's very cool. Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely a fun way to celebrate. If you want to have a birthday party for your child here at the zoo, you can help with enrichment.
Right.
Yeah.
So they do those kinds of things also. So we have, so material-wise, it's really nice that people, it's a very coordinated effort And so maintenance will help us, because a lot of times we build stuff like the snowmen. I couldn't get them in my car. I made them too big. And sometimes we can't get them out the door, so we have to go out the garage door. So it's like, oops, okay, that's a little too large. So so they help out a lot and carry things up. So the one that we had was for the cat show, the cat encounter, where they had the murder mystery and they had the dead zebra on the ground.
Yeah.
So that was funny. We had built that, and so maintenance had helped us get it up. So they hid it in the truck, and we all stood there and looked at each other and went, we better cover this up. They're going to think that's real. We're bringing a dead zebra in a truck up Forest Hill. And so we were like, oh my gosh, and good thing we thought about it, because that would have been on
all
Facebook.
Over.
Oh my gosh, it would have been everywhere.
So
right.
City Barn is not on zoo proper. Like, it's
Right.
actually on Vine Street. If anybody's driven by, it's really beautifully painted with Charlie Harper paintings on it. But yeah, so you guys you were not on zoo grounds. Had to drive up Vine Street with this really realistic looking dead zebra. So
yeah.
you covered it up. I've gotten questions before, like here at the zoo, like my son or daughter just wanted me to double check, like that zebra wasn't
they
real
actually had a sign.
in the cat show, right?
They actually have a
No.
sign up there by the cat encounter show that says this is not real. They actually put a sign up.
What was that made out of? Obviously not paper
Well,
mache.
yeah, we started with paper mache balls, and so what's nice is we use the exercise balls to get the big balls, so you don't, so we can reuse those over and over again.
You
So
just,
again,
pull the plug
you pull the plug and
okay.
pull them out. So it's a sustainability. So
That's genius.
repurposing the PVC, dumpster diving, those kinds of things. So we repurpose stuff, and so even the tigers that have the barrels that they like to roll, when they're done, we'll take them back, and then we'll repurpose them and reuse them for other things, so they at least get another shot at it.
Right.
But we did that, and then we did Zoopoxy, which is like a resin that you put over it to do the shape, so it's waterproof. And then we use some PVC stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, that turned out
and it got a facelift and got a butt lift there. The animals had to chew through them a little bit, so we had to fix those a little bit. But yeah, so it turned out pretty good.
You can't blame the cheetahs. They thought it was so real. They were like, this is a real zebra. I better start chewing.
But yeah, so we had that in the truck with the head out, and so they're sitting out, and we all looked at each other and went, okay, that won't be good. So, PR nightmare. Zebra going up the...
That's funny.
But our
amazing.
team, just a really nice, well-rounded group of people, and we had a episode down in, not an episode, but the primate group needed a little help with some enrichment right away. They were doing some training and they needed some things immediately, and called the team up and said, hey, can you come in tomorrow? And had 10 people showed up, and
It's amazing.
to help make what they needed to make to help them out down there. So our team is really a very, very good group of people.
Yes, definitely. Like we said, we can count on you guys to get things done, especially when it's, not just for fun, but
I
it's
mean,
important, you guys make sure.
everybody in the zoo, helps out, because, you call maintenance, they'll help. Horticulture helps out. We need some bamboo poles, and, they'll say, okay, we can come over here and we'll have them there by Thursday or whatever. So everybody's really, really nice to work together. So it works out really well.
The dedication and the passion that you guys have for our animals is very clearly evident in the work that you guys do, and is very much appreciated. Do you have a favorite project of yours that you guys have done, or one that really sticks out in your mind? There's so many. I'm sure it's hard to choose one.
I don't even know. I can't even think.
I know for me, personally, I loved the paper mache warthog that you guys did. We gave it to the Lions. John had the best time with it.
It was so good.
Those are fun. I think when they're actually making zebras right now for your painted dogs for the Sunday chats that you have, the enrichments that you have, and so they're finishing those up. And so they're really funny. When they first started making those, they look at me and they're like, this is going to be a what? Because I'll tell them, okay, put this here, put this here, put this here, and paper mache that, and it doesn't look anything like it's going to look. And they keep going, what? What's this going to be? Be patient. It'll come out okay. So when they first made their zebras, it took a really long time to put the legs up and so forth. But we had, I think, 4 zebras, and they were on the tables. And so if you come in the door, the lights are to the left, and it's dark. So unless you turn on the lights, it's all dark. But we had the zebras drying, and they were upside down with their feet up. So you can imagine 4 zebras upside down with their feet sticking up, and here's these maintenance guys walk in and go, whoa, what is that? When they first look at it. But it took them quite a while to get this hang of it, and now they can crank out Zebra's pretty quick.
It's very
So,
impressive.
yeah. So, once they get it. But, initially when you, like the big carrot, that was another one. They were making the carrot and it looked like a rocket. So they kept teasing. They go, "This is a rocket." And I said, "Be patient. It's going to look like a carrot. You'll be good." No, it's a rocket. And I said, "No, it's going to be a carrot." So I finally had to paint everything as a carrot. But so for our year end, that was for John for Easter. And so when he came out to attack it, I had the liftoff sound 10, 9, 8,
nice.
to make fun of them, making
Yes.
fun that it was a rocket, right?
Oh,
So
that's fun.
yeah, so that's a lot of fun, and they never know when they walk in what they're doing. So I think that's half the fun too. They're
Yeah.
like, "What are we doing today?" And I said, "Oh, you're going to do this or whatever." And you have to get used to be on the team, which was tricky for some of them. They start a project, but they might not be the guy that
That would
finishes
be
the project.
really hard for me.
So it's very tricky for people. Like they'll start something, but they don't, and sometimes they don't see it finished because
That's what I
it
would. I would at
leaves-
least want to see it. Yeah.
So that's why the animal care team, they're really good at sending us pictures so that they can see their end result, because they don't always get to see it. They might start it, but they might not finish it because we're trying to crank these things out.
Yeah.
So that was kind of tricky to get people used to doing that, because it was like my project. I'm going, no, it's
Yeah.
everybody's project. We're getting it done and it's out the door, kind of thing. So
I don't know how you felt about it because it was probably a ton of work on your end, but I really loved getting to partner with UC and the DAP students.
oh, that was awesome.
I mean,
wasn't it?
just like a really cool program as far as I think it benefited the zoo. It brought in such new, awesome new ideas. It was higher, technology, higher level of types of enrichment, and then the students were able to do their own project.
Right, that was their entrepreneurial class there, and David, I think wasn't he an adjunct joint with them? I think he taught with them.
Oh, I didn't even realize he was teaching. But
I think he was down
David
there
Orban.
with them and worked with them. So
Okay.
it was him working with their professor and setting those different teams up. And so just the ideas, just to have the brainstorming ideas of what they wanted to do was pretty awesome, because they had a team that maybe had a technology background student on there, but then they had a marketing student on there, which was interesting. Or they had a literature person on. So it was people
Or an
from
engineer. Yeah.
It was people from every different kind of major you could imagine, and you're like, okay, how did that? But they were teamed up very nicely, so you got a really nice mix of ideas when they were crafting and brainstorming what they wanted to do in the end, and it turned out really pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really collaborative because not only was it David Orban, who at the time was in charge of the animal welfare, and then Jen, you were helping as far as the enrichment side of things, and then also keepers. So myself and Teresa got to be involved,
Right.
and then 2 people from the birdhouse and 2 people from Night Hunters. And so we were working together with college students, and they got to come to the zoo and see how the enrichment they made turned out. And yeah, there were some really cool ideas. I'm trying to think of the one we had 2 different ones that ended up being really cool for the giraffe, but didn't work out perfectly. And that's part of the program, is learning how to work. But the idea was to have this clear box right attached to the window at giraffe, where you could see the giraffe sticking their tongue in, and it was on a timer, and so treats would fall intermittently, and it was a very cool idea. They had a motor and a timer and all sorts of things. It just didn't work out as far as learning how to screw together or glue together this acrylic and all sorts of little things. Their idea was amazing, but it hasn't been completely implemented. I know Night Hunters, somebody had a giant boomer ball, and I think it had lights and sound
So
in it.
it had lights and sound, and I also think it sprayed scent out.
Yes, it was
And
so
so
cool.
as the tigers would, bat that around like cats do, they would either do it was a sensory device basically for lighting or sound or the scent. So
Which
yeah.
might seem super easy to somebody oh yeah, my dog has a ball like that, but this has to be
tiger
tiger-proof.
proof.
So
Which is a little
there's,
tricky.
yes, a
Yeah,
lot that
well,
goes
they had
into it.
remember they had that platform with the springs on it
Oh,
for balance
yeah.
for the tigers, and so just to find the right springs that were tiger proof, and then the platform had to be 2-inch plex that they couldn't snap in half, and says I don't think people realize the strength of some of these animals.
Yes,
I remember one of our silverbacks, we did raisin boards, and raisin boards it's an acrylic board, and you drill holes in it, and then they put raisins in it, and they put it in the refrigerator to freeze.
Oh, fun!
And then they bring the raisins out, and then it's foraging. So you take a stick and pick out the raisins. Well, our silverback wasn't having anything to do with that.
It's too much work.
It was too much work, and he'd just take the board and hit it on a rock, which would pop all the raisins out, but it cracked all the board.
Oh,
so then we had to find boards that were a lot thicker, so that wouldn't happen. So I mean, just little simple things like that. So you think, oh, this will work.
Yep.
And then when they do it, you're going, oh, didn't think of that. You know? So,
Yes.
Right. So
Animal outsmarted us.
right, outsmarted us for sure. So yeah. So when we made some PVC devices, we had one for the primates, which I have to laugh because we're looking at it and we had the picture of it and we're like going, how do we make this? And so we're trying to make it, and it's a PVC. And it has holes, and you have to twist it so that the hole matches each other up, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like going, okay, I can't figure this thing out. I can't do this. And so we're trying to make it, and we made one, and the holes didn't quite line up right. It took us like 5 tries, and we finally made it. So we get it over to the primates, and they hook it up, and I think it was Gladys, one of our young gorillas. She just took it, and bam, it's there. And I'm like going, all right, something's wrong here.
She figured it out.
It took us like
faster than
5
you guys.
tries to make sure we had it right, and she's like, bam, it's there. And we're like, okay, this didn't work out the way we were thinking, so it was kind of funny.
That's so fun. Yeah, and you get to
so-
like help all the animals in the zoo and be a part of all
Yeah,
that.
you'd be a part
Yeah.
of all of it. So it's really it's really neat. That's really
awesome.
neat to do.
I'm sure those are some of the funnest experiences, though, right? When it doesn't go to plan.
Like,
Like,
sometimes it doesn't go to plan. And that can happen, and and it's a do-over, and that's all right. But that gives you the revision, like you make it, and then you go, oh, we could have made it this way better. So then the next time you get that request, you up your game. So each time we keep upping the game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
So, yeah.
Definitely. And you guys do all the fire hose enrichment, too, as well.
Yes,
right?
we're really fortunate, Cincinnati Fire Department, and then we have a really good collaborative with the Warren County Fire Departments. They all end up giving their hoses up to the King's Fire Department. They drop them off there, so we only have one location to pick up. And so they call us, and St. Bernard calls us as well, just down the road, and say, hey, we got some hose here. And so we grab all their hoses and bring them down. And so, yeah, we're really good at making fire hose hammocks. We made fire hose pumpkins for Halloween this year.
Fun.
So we have wreaths, and it's a great foraging device. So you can do some wreaths out of that for foraging. But the hammocks, I think, are the big hit. So Night Hunters has.
Yeah, I was going to say, I
A
remember being in
boatload of
Night
hammers,
Hunters.
yeah.
Every one of the cats
Yeah, every one of
loves
the
those
cats.
fire hose
Yeah,
hammocks.
so they have their hammocks. So yeah, we've made over 100 of those, I'm sure, throughout the time. So we average about 150 fire hose a year that we go through.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's deceiving. I don't think people realize.
No.
Between jungle trails and primates, and then what we do. Yeah, it's quite a bit of fire hose that you go through. So it's really nice of the fire departments. They give us a call and say, "Hey, yeah," and we're like, "Okay." We go pick it up and have it stored down at the barn.
Yeah, we have one of the big fire hose cubes over at Giraffe. It's really nice because sometimes, now that the boys are getting a little bit older and kind of coming into age, we'll see Finn and Thea, we'll see them kind of headbutting and wrestling with the fire hose cube sometime.
It's
Other
heavy.
times, it is heavy. But it also works out really well because, like, the way the openings are, you can also fit browse and different
Right.
food items
Yes.
and stuff in
Right.
there as well. Yeah, so it's kind of multi-purpose.
Well,
you
we
can use
made
it for a
a
little
big
different
one.
things.
If you remember the yellow fire hose, that's the rubber one. That's really, I don't know how the firemen carry that
Oh my
stuff.
gosh.
I really
Yeah,
don't
full
know.
of water too.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I just can't even imagine. But we built one for the elephants.
Oh.
So it was maybe 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot. So it had quite a few hoses in it. And when we first started building it, we were down in the rainforest, and I went, okay, we're not going to get this out of here.
Yeah, how are we
So-
getting this up the stairs?
How are we going to get this out of here? So we got the big cart, and we were only not even a quarter of it done, and we were like, okay, we got to get this out of here. So we built it behind the elephant yard there and built it. And the whole time, I think it was Jotty, sat there and watched.
Oh gosh, did
them
she
build.
figure out how to unravel
And
it?
so,
That's the
so they're
smartest.
building. I mean, you ended up, you're sitting 3 feet high on this thing, and they had to take the bobcat to get it out because it was so heavy. But the whole time she's watching, you could see her ears moving real slow and so forth. And then when it went out, it was like, it's mine. So it's fun to watch.
I've never seen them with it. Do they still have it, or do they destroy it
that
immediately?
one,
or?
I think that one's pretty much beat up by
Okay.
now. But
I wanna see if
yeah,
anyone has
so
videos to show
and
me.
then we
Yeah.
had little ones as well that we do. And they don't last as long, but yeah. So they like to run, and for us, it's like 3 of us,
Yeah.
It takes 4 of us to pull it tight and get it bolted right and so forth. And, they just take their trunk and go, boom.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's also enriching for Johnny to get to watch you do
But
that.
yeah, so she's sitting there watching.
waiting for it.
I'm pretty sure it was Johnny, and she's sitting there
Makes sense.
watching. And so it was kind of cool. And it was like, yeah, this is for you, And as soon as they rolled it out, she was like on it. So yeah, so it was interesting to see.
That's cool.
That's
And
awesome.
it's fun when you do the browse force.
I was just going to say, that made me think of that.
Yeah, so
I didn't know if that was you guys or horticulture. Though.
well, the
Or is it
browse
collaboration?
It's a collaboration.
Okay.
How that started was actually we were sitting in our consultant from Ireland, Creighton. I can't think of his first name.
Gary, right?
Garrett, yeah. So he had talked about how they do browse out in the yard and so forth, and he said, well, we can't do that. We don't have enough browse to do that. I said, well, maybe we could do it once a month. And, and at that time I was still with horticulture and doing enrichment. So I got with Deb Zurich, and I said, okay, is this possible to do that maybe we just, try it once? And she goes, oh, yeah, Deb Zurich would do anything. She's like, oh, yeah, we'll do whatever. So I said, okay, so we cut down 600 stalks of bamboo.
Wow.
And we went into the elephant yard, and I completely forgot that the old elephant yard was solid cement. And so what they did was put dirt on top of it. So it's really only like 6 or 8 inches of dirt. Well, we were taking a drill to drill holes to stick the stalks of bamboo. Well, we were hitting the cement.
Oh, no.
So we were cracking our drills, and we're like, why are we cracking? And I went, oh, yeah, it's cement. So anyway, you drill holes, and then we put the stalks in the holes. So it looked like a bamboo forest. So when those elephants came out, and oh my gosh, it was the coolest thing to see, and how excited they were to do that. And so, so then we kind of routinely started doing that.
I
with
love
them.
it. That's a really
so
cool
it worked out
special,
really-
yeah.
So it worked out really cool. Yeah.
And another fun one it's definitely enriching, but I was going to say probably more fun for us than them, is the elephant popcorn blower. The elephants have to stick their trunk up to this PVC tube, and they blow in order to push popcorn out. So then the popcorn falls.
So that idea came from the Toledo Zoo.
Okay.
And so you have a 55-gallon barrel, and then on the outside of the barrel you have a 4-inch PVC tube. You have 4 of them, and it's those PVC tubes that have a grate on the base of it, and you put the popcorn in it. And then they put their trunk up underneath that PVC grate and blow, and then it blows the popcorn out.
It's just so smart that
it's so fun to watch.
They figured that out.
Yeah.
It'd probably take me a day to figure out that I need to blow up towards.
Yeah, and then they did, and then they actually did it for a gender reveal.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to
yeah.
get into. So I forget what did they use for
Just
it that
paper.
was colored?
They just
Okay,
paper.
colored
they
paper.
put colored paper in, and they just blew it out. So that was pretty cute.
So one of the elephant manager's daughters was able to reveal her baby's gender using the elephants and their enrichment. And it's just
that was cool. Yeah.
I don't know if it's true, but I think, aren't we offering that if people wanted to do that?
Yes,
you can actually contact the zoo.
Contact the zoo. Do
and announce your baby
right.
gender through
right.
with elephants.
What a better way to do it, honestly.
Right?
Yeah. So that was a cool one. That was a good device. Yeah. So that was fun.
And I think it's fun because not only does it, they have to use their brain to get the popcorn out, but then it goes everywhere, so then they have to forage. So it keeps them busy, too.
Yeah.
So it does, it's a double whammy for them. So, that works out well.
Cool. Well, you've got anything else? Any more stories or anything you want to share?
Oh,
with
there's
us?
lots of
No?
stories.
Otherwise,
I'm sure you guys have lots of stories, right? It's just a wonderful group of people, and we're very fortunate that you guys allow us to do this
we're
stuff.
just so thankful for
yeah.
you guys. I hope you know that.
It's just an awesome opportunity.
We'll be, I'm not sure if this will air before or after Fiona's birthday, but you guys will be the team that's going to help make the glass pretty and make a giant card for people to sign for Fiona's birthday. So if you guys see that when you come, or if you come for Fiona's birthday or see it on videos, that was our volunteer enrichment team. So we appreciate you guys more than you'll ever know.
Yes.
I promise you. Enrichment has really come a long way in my career here, and it was always a thing, but it wasn't mandatory, which I'm so glad that it is, and
It
it's
wasn't
required.
systemic.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And now it is, because our team is actually a part of the animal department. Mm-hmm. We actually have an email and a phone, and so we're actually a part, and we're assigned a curator. So it's a systemic operation. Mm-hmm. So it's not an add-on.
Yes.
It's actually integrated and systemic, which is why it makes it work.
Yeah.
Right. And it needs enrichment is so important, whether or not a zoo has their own volunteers that help with it. Like,
Right.
all the animals need it. So we've seen a huge difference from before you guys existed to paper mache to now baby gender reveal devices. But
and it's so appreciated, and we're so lucky to have it. Because as a keeper myself, I find myself kind of get like stuck in a rut with enrichment sometimes. You know, you work with the same animals day in and day out, and sometimes it's easy to kind of get caught in a routine where you find yourself repeating enrichment items or doing the same thing kind of over and over. But like having you guys as an asset and a tool to reach out to, it gives us such an easy way to mix things up and give animals items that are novel and new and fresh and that they really enjoy. So it's definitely very, very thankful to have you guys on our end for sure.
Yes,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Do you have trivia today?
Yeah, I do have some trivia for you guys, Jen, if you're up for it. If you're up for it.
Okay, Jenna.
So we've actually done this same set of trivia once before. We're switching it up with new animals. So it's different animals around the zoo, and you guys are going to have to guess their favorite enrichment.
Oh, okay.
Favorite enrichment items for animals around the zoo. Yeah, I think it was with David Orban.
Yes.
Who we did this with once before.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So if you guys are up for it, if you humor me.
I'm pumped. It's not numbers.
History. So, in the animal ambassador team, they take care of a tawny frogmouth named Irwin. What do you think Irwin's favorite enrichment is? A tawny frogmouth.
From what I've
Cool little birds.
Yeah.
I have a guess. If you have one, you can go first.
No, I don't have a guess. Go ahead.
The reason I am guessing this is because I've seen videos of him taking like a mist bath.
Mist bath. You're exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. So Irwin really enjoys taking a bath. They have a little sprinkler mister that they kind of set up for him, and apparently he just plays around in it all day. I've seen the videos, but I've seen some videos on social media. You guys definitely have to check them out if you are friends with the zoo on social media. All right, another one. Not necessarily a favorite enrichment item, but one that I thought it kind of blew my mind when I heard it. So our tamanduas, they can go on walks through the zoo. We've heard this from some of our guests. You know, the tamanduas can go on walks through the zoo. They really enjoy it. What's one of their favorite stops around the zoo that they like to play at? Favorite stop for the tamanduas?
Oh, I have a guess.
Wow. Boy, I don't have a guess at all. I just see him walking up the one strip there, but I don't see him necessarily stopping. Go ahead.
Is it the playground in Children's Zoo?
It is the playground. Jenna's on
because
fire.
they like to climb around. You're good.
Yeah.
They do. They like to climb
That's
around.
fun.
So they
I was trying to think of where they stop by a tree. Like, what tree could they grab that they would let them go up? Because
Right.
once they were up, they couldn't get them back down.
That's
Exactly.
their goal, though,
Right.
is to have that happen.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the tamanduas, great climbers, like you
Right.
said. That instead of letting them climb a tree, they'll let them climb the playground equipment, which I have not seen video. I don't know if videos are out there. I haven't seen videos of it,
I don't know if
but
they are.
I'd love to see
That
one.
would be, yeah, that'd be,
Like,
can you
I'm
imagine?
assuming I've seen one or my brain wouldn't have thought of that, but I don't know.
another animal that we have at the zoo, one of our favorite cheetahs, Nia. What is her favorite enrichment item that she enjoys playing with?
You know this?
I think so.
Jenna's on fire with the enrichment.
I love enrichment!
So it's actually a device?
It's a toy, just a toy that she likes to play with.
I see him a lot with the balls rolling around.
Yep.
Soccer ball.
Yep, soccer ball.
Yeah.
You guys got it, yeah.
She's a big soccer fan.
Huge FC Cincy fan.
Fan.
She's
There you go.
she's an aspiring FC player. I'm sure FC could use some speed on the pitch. They should hit up Nia. She could give him a hand. Great with the soccer ball. Last one I got, which I'm curious because Jenna probably knows better than I do. But what do you guys think is Fritz's favorite enrichment item?
Oh my gosh, he's a hoot.
He is a hoot, that's
he
for
has
sure.
Such a great personality.
Yes,
All
he
boy
does.
in him, boy. Holy cow.
Oh my gosh.
He is just too funny. I mean, just his running around.
He's hilarious.
Yeah. Going after people in the backside.
Going after his sister or his
Yeah.
mom.
So, I don't know, Jenna, what is that? What would that
What do you
be?
think?
Well, that's hard to answer because literally any toy, he will spend hours and
Yeah.
hours.
He was rolling one of
The
what's that?
logs?
The
Yeah, we have
logs.
stumps and
Yeah,
logs.
Yeah.
and he just starts rolling those.
I think
I've seen that.
if I were going to say his favorite, the only reason, I don't know,
Should
I think
take
they're
his
pretty
head.
equal, but I would say the green cylinder.
Cylinder. That's what I was gonna say too.
Because it's the smallest and he can get his mouth around it and push it the easiest, but the giant ball,
He'll
the
go
giant
after any of
cylinder,
that.
yes. And I'm not kidding, one morning I walked in at 7 a.m. and could not get him to leave the pool until close to 9 a.m. Usually he comes out and he says hi and he eats breakfast and he just played until his mouth was raw. I had to keep. I didn't let him have a toy for 2 days because he would just and I'm sure BB wanted to just smack him. I don't know if she got any sleep, but it makes me so happy because he is so independent and entertains himself so well. So yeah, I would say the green cylinder, but any toy. Giant ball, anything that he can push.
Nods his head and goes
Yes.
after it. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because, as my experience, I'm not quite over at Hippo as often as you are, so I wasn't exactly sure what you thought. But yeah, the couple times I've been over there and I'm given that green cylinder, he has a field day. Yes. I mean, literally, Jen is not exaggerating. He will spend an hour
Do you think
without
it's the shape,
stopping.
or do you think it's partly the color? Or what do
No,
you think?
I don't. The only thing I think of for the green one specifically is the shape. It's like
It's more his size, right?
More his size.
yeah. What do you think? Like a 12-inch diameter,
Okay.
maybe.
Because some of our other items are
Too
designed
hard
for our
him.
adult hippos.
Yeah, for the adult hippos.
Yeah.
So and this one has holes in it, so we put food in it, and
then
BB
he
can
can
push it
roll
around,
around.
and any of them can. But yeah, he gets
Yeah.
into the water, and he does not stop. He's so fun.
He has a field day.
He's funny. He's got a great.
I love it. Jen, we
Yeah.
found your wheelhouse. Enrichment.
Yes.
Perfect today.
I mean, I hope so. It's one of my favorite parts about our job, and it's animal related. So, okay, I finally did well on a quiz.
I love it.
Or on trivia. Okay, Jen, so we want to end the episode with, what can I do? Is there something you do at home that is good for the environment? What do you do? What can I do to help?
What can I do?
We all can't make incredible, perfect enrichment items like you, so we need to know something that we can do in our own
Everybody
homes.
has a talent that they can do something there. What I do at home is there's a lot of electronics that you leave on. Your printers, your computers, you have a TV in a room or an Xbox in a room. So you got a lot of those devices that are lit up but not being used, and so that draws a lot of juice. So what I do is I take surge protectors and I plug them all into there in that room, so I only have one switch to turn off, so I don't have to pull plugs all over the place
So
or hit
smart.
buttons all over the place. And so if I'm not in that room for, a day or whatever, all of those devices are turned off, unless of course you're charging them. But the surge protector also protects them, because it's a surge protector for storms and so forth. But it shuts down all the draw off of those electric devices. So I have that throughout my house.
I love that. We haven't talked about that one. It saves you money. I think, a
Definitely
couple
saves you
$100 a
money.
year, actually,
Yeah.
which is a lot when you think about how easy it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Just switch one button off, and then it's also good for the environment. Obviously, we want it, well, how can that help? So you're saving electricity. You're not using, making as much CO2.
Yeah, you're cutting your use from the power grid. The power grid's obviously drawing from fossil fuels and CO2 emissions, so you're cutting down on all that. That's genius because, like you said, it's so easy. I love that you're drawing on your technology background.
Yeah.
Me, as someone who's completely clueless about this is something I've got to introduce in my place because I don't think I have a single surge protector. I got to go invest in one. I got to go buy one.
It's an easy one.
And
for
this,
sure.
it's an
one,
easy way to
right.
save money. Cut
Well,
down.
and it's just one button then versus
Yes.
having to pull plugs all over the place.
And then have to bend down and
bend down and
plug them
put
in.
them plug back in. So so you just have them set up in various areas. But it draws a lot. So
That's smart, yeah, because
Yeah.
just turning off the lights, we always say, is helpful, but turning off
Right.
your TV, you're still drawing energy, any of those things. So I love that. It helps the environment and your wallet.
yeah.
So
And we're all only using more and more technology, with every
No
day, it
kidding.
seems like. So keep using it. I know what I'm doing this weekend. I'm going finding a surge protector, getting all my stuff on a better grid.
I'm going to follow up with you. And see if we can-
Man, I love it.
That's great. Thank you so much for being here, Jen, and all that you do and your team. We really appreciate
Thank you for
it.
having me.
Yeah. Definitely. Thanks for sharing your stories. I hope the listeners got as much of a kick out of it as we do just hearing about it. But
yeah,
it's
and
always
hopefully
fun.
you guys will recognize some of the stuff that they do. If you visit the zoo, you'll see the different devices.
If you visit the zoo, you'll see it. If you can't visit the zoo, check out the zoo's social media page.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
plenty on Facebook and Instagram of videos of our animals interacting with some of the enrichment that Jen's team has made. So it's pretty incredible. Definitely worth a watch.
Well, thank you so much for listening, everyone. We hope you have a fantastic day.
Yeah, take care. Until next time, guys.